Right guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far, and as Stage 5 continues onwards, the OpTic guys had some very interesting things to say on the state of Black Ops Cold War at the present time. Despite the fact that Champs is just around the corner now, seems like a lot of pros don't even want to play this game, it's way too boring for them, and the OpTic guys would much rather play Valorant instead after hopping off after scrims. Intriguing your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new as always, I greatly appreciate it. I really upset the channel, thank you very much indeed for doing that. First of all, these OpTic comps always a good time when they chuck these up on the timeline after a series victory. They play again today up against New York Subliners. That's going to be a massive series. We'll look at that in a few minutes time here for, well, the results for both of these teams going forwards. First of all, just thought I'd mention this because some chaos honestly going on once again the challenger side. We know that cheating's been an issue this entire season. These few things I thought, well, the 0 points out were pretty funny at David. Well, firstly, this comes out, this guy Dreamzy, you can see right here, well, at least the rumor has it that he toggled right at the start of the clip, gets this kill. I mean, look at this play he makes into kitchen right here. Like, what is he looking at? Why is he looking here? And then he just comes out the kill to go around the corner. Like, I don't know how, is this guy some sort of wizard or something? I'm not really sure. Supposedly, Zero and the guys, like, kind of reported this to the CDL and said, look, this is dodgy. They're playing, of course, in the Challengers Cup, or, you know, one of the big Challengers events that was going on right now. It's honestly so hard to keep up with, to be honest. But obviously some pretty important stuff. And, well, this comes out actually from Zero as well. I thought was particularly funny. If you guys aren't familiar with football, association football, sometimes called soccer, then you might not know about what VAR is, but I'm sure most of you do. So VAR, video assisted referee, it's been very controversial, to be honest, but the idea is that if the referee isn't sure on something, he can then bring up, well, he does the little monitor, right, and then he can have a look at exactly what's going on. So that's what Zero is doing right here. Gets the VAR up to inspect this guy, whether he might be hacking or not, and it will see some questionable stuff, no doubt, and then it comes to the conclusion that, yes, VAR has done the check, and indeed, this guy is cheating. Some questionable stuff, again, looking through the wall, and I think they sent several clips like this to the CDL, and eventually this guy got banned, so it's crazy stuff, to be honest. I think it's kind of funny what Zero does right here. But, well, this is what Clayster says, right? Never seen anything more blatant. Actually feel bad for all the Challengers players this year. Simply unacceptable when it is affecting people's livelihoods, and understandably so, right? Worst bit about this is, the CDL made a decision that he wasn't hacking until I sent them way more clips, and then they changed their mind. Absolutely incredible stuff. Waiting for like 30-40 minutes for them to sort it out. But, well, thankfully, I guess the job is done at this point, and VAR comes to the rescue in Call of Duty for one of the first times. This I thought was pretty entertaining on the North American side of things, because there was some discussion about, well, Tiny. I think Tiny was like accusing some people of hacking and getting them banned off websites and stuff, and maybe they were, maybe they weren't. It's kind of somewhat impossible to say. But I think Riv right here is kind of, well, basically he does a massive thread just to take the mick, because, well, he was playing against Tiny in this match or whatever. I'm pretty sure he was a substitute for the Minnesota Rokkr last season. Tiny, he's been around for a couple of years at this point. Just going through and saying, like, yeah, I have reason to believe Tiny is cheating, and then, like, throwing up a load of clips of him, well, not necessarily hitting the best shots. Feels like at times he's getting no hit rate, to be honest, in some of these. But, well, still, I thought it was pretty entertaining nonetheless. On one side, you've got, well, cheaters being accused and banned. On the other side, you've got people just taking the mick out of people, maybe not hitting the best shots in some of these matches, to be honest. So, interesting stuff nonetheless. It's very frustrating to see, especially for the Challenger side. And that's the thing, right? If you're a Challengers player, and if there's no expansion next year, what do you do? Do you actually decide to go to, well, do you just continue the grind in Challengers for another year? Do you take the leap into Warzone, right, like as Waskin's done, and maybe Scraps will do? I don't really know. I think he's been talking about the possibility of, like, you know, do you just become a Warzone streamer? The problem is, at that point, if you do become a Warzone streamer, there's probably no road back to the Pro League at that point, to be honest. It might be possible, but it's probably not going to happen, so you don't really know what's going to happen with Warzone, whether people will move on to other things. Like, at some point, people will move on from Warzone, I suppose. So it's something to consider, certainly. But I think maybe that would be a more attractive option than grinding through the Challengers pit, dealing with all these, dealing with all these hacker problems that, well, have been on display as we looked at what Zero was looking at just a few minutes ago here. So this has been one of the big discussions these last several weeks. Why aren't players playing 8s, right? So Scump says in this clip, we're looking at a second here, the fact that you maybe get 8s like a couple of times a week, to be honest. So effectively 8s are, you get 8 pro players, or, pros, amateurs, whatever they can find at this point, to be honest. 2 players get chosen as captains. They then go through a snake draft the rest of their team, and then they play, and usually they'd put money on the line. I'm not sure they're allowed to do that anymore. That's how it would be done back in the day. So still, most times, players, what they would do is they'd play their matches, they'd play their scrims, right, their practice against the other teams, and then they'd hop off after that, get it into TeamSpeak, and just play 8s for the rest of the night. Or they might play League Play or something, or they might do like tournaments or chals or something like this, which used to be a lot of fun, and also would probably make some of the teams better at the game. Now, we've seen a lot of discussion lately about the fact that 8s maybe don't improve your play, and it's like a waste of time or whatever, but the fact of the matter is, playing more Call of Duty is probably better than playing less Call of Duty, I would argue, especially outside of scrims, and the fact that no one seems to be willing to do that right now is, to me, a big concern. We've got the OpTic guys we'll look at right here in a second saying, yes, we'd love to actually play this game a lot and enjoy it, but we simply can't do it because the game's first of all not enjoyable, and also, like, I'd much rather just go off and play play Valorant than play this game on a consistent basis. Now, personally, I don't even think this game is that bad. Maybe it is just a sign of the times that pros are getting tired and weary, to be honest, of playing the game so often. But it's certainly, I think it's a concern for a lot of the top teams, the fact that your teams aren't particularly willing to actually grind out this game when, especially, you've got Stage 5 Major and Champs just on the horizon.
I mean, I just like to compete, so I obviously preferred to have the game be good and compete in it, but I just enjoy competing in general. So
I love COD.
I mean, if you have a good game, it just makes it more enjoyable for us to compete in. Like, if you have a bad game, like, we're still competing, but, like, we might not even like competing in that game. Like, getting onto practice every day feels like a chore if it's a bad game. If it's a good game, you're like, oh, I like playing this game. It's fun to practice every day now.
And even the pros talk about it now. There's, like, no 8s or anything that go on at night at all.
Yeah, nobody plays this game.
Like,
yeah, that's a bad sign.
That is such a bad sign.
Everyone just, like, plays scrims and then plays, like, league play, and then, like, there's maybe 8s, like, twice a week.
I mean, I'm part of the problem, too. I don't play 8s or league play, but, like... It's so boring.
I'm going to play Valorant. Like.
Yeah. I'm going to play Val. Like, I get my reps in scrims and, like, I know what I'm fucking doing, you know? I don't need to play 8s, but no one wants to play the game. Like, that's a bad sign.
That is a bad sign. And look...
And you can see what Envoy is saying in that clip as well. Like, he feels like he's somewhat part of a problem in a way. Like, he has a tough time actually, really feeling incredibly motivated to get on and play this game on a consistent basis. And then you got clips like this coming out from Scump, right, where the guys are all playing Valorant together, which is, it's kind of cool to see at the one end of things. But at the same time, it's like, well... It's a bit of a concern, right? Not only for the COD League, but also if I'm an OpTic fan, or to be honest, I think a lot of teams are doing similar things, right? This is usually something you might see, players playing different games during the off-season or something, not really when it's just the start of Stage 5 and Champs is just around the corner, right? This is like the final push, I suppose, towards the World Championship, and still, things aren't maybe looking so hot for I think a lot of these teams. So I think maybe, if I'm an OpTic fan, I'm probably a little bit concerned about this, but at the same time, I think a lot of other teams are in a similar boat. We know that the FaZe guys don't seem to like 8, so they don't really think it helps their gameplay. Simp was talking about that a while ago as well, and I'm sure that a lot of the other teams are in a similar boat where they're very frustrated playing this game. I'm sure especially some of the bottom tier squads at the bottom, like how much are Los Angeles Guerrillas playing the game outside of their practice? Probably not that much at all, or maybe some of the other teams down there in a similar position, so it's kind of tough to say. Honestly, it's kind of a surprise to me in a way, because I don't think this game is that bad. Like, I think this game is relatively enjoyable. I can understand why the players might get frustrated with it over time, but maybe like times are just changing in Call of Duty, right? Because like Modern Warfare, you could argue, was a much more boring or difficult game to play from a competitive standpoint, but it didn't really seem like we had so many issues last season when no players were even willing to practice on it like we seem to have this time around. So it's a bit of a concern, because even next year, like does the game have to just be way better and more enjoyable than Cold War is to actually get people to play it on a consistent basis? It's difficult to say exactly, and maybe this is just like how things are going in the pro scene, to be honest, where players are getting frustrated with playing the game all day in, day out, and well, maybe they just the commitment and the passion over time does kind of dry up, as some players have talked about lately, and that's probably one of the big reasons why we see a lot of amateur players and challenger guys get into the league so far this season. So interesting stuff nonetheless. Wanted to talk then about the games for the rest of today. This was the playoff picture they brought up just before that final series. Dallas ended up beating Los Angeles Guerrillas right to their 22-15, Los Angeles Guerrillas 8-22, and that means that Minnesota are now secured into top 8 positions. So technically Thieves and Mutineers can still fall out. It's basically not going to happen, despite the graphic here making it seem like it might still be up for debate. I mean, look at the difference here between Mutineers on 15 series wins and Los Angeles Guerrillas on 8. It is completely chalked for these bottom 4 teams. But Minnesota Rokkr now are secured in the top 8 position for the World Championship, along with these other 5. So these are the games for today. Interesting games, no doubt. They're honestly, like, every game at this point is very important for seeding and all this type of stuff. So we'll run through them. Thieves versus Ravens first up. I mean, look, Ravens, I'm not expecting them to put up too much of a fight. Thieves are good the other day. If Thieves can come out here with a 2-0 week, that would be massive for them as they try and search for the second seed. And that will really set up a great match in the final game of the day between OpTic and New York Subliners, because that is incredibly important for both of these teams. The second game, Ultra versus Minnesota Rokkr. This is a big one for Ultra to come out and win. Not necessarily for them. Well, it's kind of big for them as well, because they want to get the second seed for Champs, right? You can't see the points numbers right here, but Ultra are now 15 points behind Empire after Empire's win yesterday, so Ultra need to bounce back. And also, this would be great if you're Thieves or if you're Mutineers trying to take over Minnesota Rokkr. If Minnesota can win this series, then they really say to the rest rest of the guys like, yeah, we are going to get top 6 and we are going to get that final winners bracket spot for the major. And then the final series is OpTic versus New York Subliners. This is incredibly crucial because, well, let's look at Group A right now. FaZe are 2-0, they haven't lost a map yet. OpTic beat Paris the other day 3-0. Thieves are right here at 1-0, Subliners 0-1. So this is so huge, right? Because if Thieves win today, they go 2-0. If OpTic win today, they go 2-0, and Subliners go 0-2. And at that point, it really does look like you've got the top 3 teams solidified, and Subliners might be the team out of the running. But if New York win, all of a sudden it's a very different story. New York are then 1-1 with the tiebreak over OpTic. OpTic are 1-1 as well. Thieves might be 2-0, and all of a sudden it's now OpTic in 4th on the depths of not making it, right? So this is what you've got to consider right here. And of course, Thieves have their tough matches coming up next time, but that victory against Subliners was massive for them. So this is an incredibly important series later today for exactly who might get the 2nd seed, who might get the 4th seed, exactly what might happen in Group A. Because of course, you want to get to the winners bracket certainly when there's fans there, so you can at least get to the Sunday, right? Or at least get to the Saturday when fans do eventually arrive. So yeah, certainly something to keep your eyes on for later today. Just wanted to finish off with this funny clip as well that came out from Crimsix last night after his match, because as Enabler says right here, how did you improve on stage 4 now? Like, you know, some people consider you onliners, or you know, stage 4 Ian. Actually, this says, I thought it said lad initially, but well, I guess it kind of works either way. Well, my house was built in 1928. Talks about how, you know, the electrician or whatever had not seen anything like this in terms of the wiring in his house since the Korean War. Certainly seems to have some internet issues. I think he was also talking recently the fact that in like their facility, the Dallas facility, there's also some issues there. So for whatever reason, I'm sure they're looking forward to getting back to a LAN environment. And tweet your thoughts on all this in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm. Like you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well. And I'm growing the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you as always. Take care. And I will see you next time.
Wired because the electrician said that he hasn't seen this type of electric wiring since the Korean War. And I immediately thought, like, how old is this man before me right now? Because he looks 30, you know? So a little bit weird stuff going on there, but stage 4 was on LAN. So I don't know how I played good. That doesn't really make sense because apparently I'm an onliner, right?
Well,
so
yeah, apparently you are, Crim. Apparently you are.
I don't know what happened. I just blacked out. I guess. So, anyways, my internet sucks, and I can't wait for LAN again. So.